Hey, learner centered practitioner, edu innovator, and a champion of learner centered environments. Look, I probably don't have to convince you about the importance of deep learning experiences and what they can do for our students. But I'm sure you either work on a team or you work in a department or with a year level, or you potentially direct a school or maybe a whole entire organization, and you're trying to shift people over to this way of learning. And I'm certain you probably have been met with some resistance. The number one question I get is, how do I get others on board, Kyle? Now, a couple weeks ago, I sent out a post that said, don't start with project-based learning. Don't start with that. Start with working together to come up with a graduate profile. What kind of learners are you trying to create? What kind of characteristics, what kind of mindsets, what kind of things are they doing? And by doing so, you're going to gain some consensus around what kind of experiences are necessary to create those graduates. So I'm going to share the screen for a second and just show you what that looked like. So for example, when we did this exercise, we agreed that our learners should be very passionate and know what their interests are. They should be creative, adaptable, innovative. Again, you see here, globally minded as well. And by doing so, we felt good about what kind of learners we're trying to create, and it made space now for the kind of learning experiences that we designed to do that. Now, again, I want to just jump in and say, okay, now let's see how project-based learning creates this. I would start with asking them to share, because sharing stories is a lot less threatening than starting with the strategy. So start with stories, as I always say, and have them start with a story of a meaningful learning experience to them. Now, I am going to give you an example of how you might do this. Okay, and I'm going to make some connections. So my particular learning experience, this is when I was 12 years old, and it was in science class, and we got to conduct a scientific investigation on a question that was personally meaningful to us and had to use a scientific process to answer it. Now, my question had all to do with the drought that had struck the region which I lived in. It's a very dry climate. And I remember looking outside my window one day and thinking, man, it's not very green here. And with our water shortage, for good reason. But what if we could make it more green? And so this led to this investigation around how am I going to stimulate plant growth? And it was all about polymers, because polymers is something I stumbled upon as to allowing plants to better retain their water. And so I went through that investigation. I conducted the background research. I led the experiments. I remember my mom helping me go purchase the planter boxes where I planted the plants, going through my report, graphing out my results in my terrible handwriting and drawing that out. I used an old typewriter. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but we had to type letter by letter. You couldn't make a mistake. And I kept that because it was very meaningful to me, and I had to present, the findings, and, I solved a particular problem. Now, that is a deeper learning experience that I had, but I would challenge you to share with your staff either something that was meaningful to you, or ask them to recall a learning experience that they've either led or been a part of that was most meaningful and memorable to them. Now, what I would do is start to link the graduate profile that you created here, so I'll circle it, to their most memorable learning experience. So for example, something I shared here was I had to be globally minded. I had to look at this whole water shortage thing as being, kind of a global problem, and how was I going to solve it? When it came to being adaptable, I had a number of difficulties, when I was going about these experiments, a number of difficulties in certain plants that would die. And I had to be adaptable and determine, well, was it because of that particular type of plant, the conditions they're being grown in? Was it have to do with, what I was providing for them in terms of water? And so now what we're starting to do is link specific learning experiences to our graduate profile. That now is going to create a space for project-based learning, and for you to be able to introduce the importance of this and how you might go about designing that. Okay, so I hope that helped. And if you're looking to get support, I'll stop sharing the screen for a second. If you're looking to get some support and get others on board and see a more global community, and see that these kind of experiences aren't just something that you're espousing, but they're being done worldwide, I'm happy to share some of those, and also lead some of your practitioners, yourself and some others, in an activity to help them design their learning experience in less than 10 minutes, where they can combine curriculum, a real world need, and student and teacher interest, and start to really gain that critical mass that you need to really start enacting this and getting buy-in for it across your campus. I put the link to that session in the notes below this video, but just so you could see, it's going to be July 28th. I strongly encourage you to sign up. It's free. And here's where you would sign up. It's quite easy. You put your name, last name, email address, role in education. And once you hit register, you'll be registered for that event. You'll receive the Zoom link, and you will be on your way to working on your own deep learning experience, or really working with others to help make that more real for people on your campus. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you there on July 28th. Bye-bye.